B.V. Doshi once famously quoted, "A house must feel like it's always been there." I'm Architect Karan Anand, introducing you to episode 3 of the Mirzapur Manifesto, brought to you by our brand partners Obeetee. Today we have with us Veeram of Dukaan and Sanchit Arora of Renesa Studio, and I can't wait to introduce them to you all. Hi guys, it's lovely to have you all here finally. I'm really excited about this.
Thanks, Karan. Hi, I'm Sanchit Arora. I'm the principal architect at Renesa Architecture Design Interior Studio.
Hi, I am Veeram. I run a practice called Dukaan. We are based out of Ahmedabad and Navsari, and we work on design projects of different scales.
Before we begin talking about your practice, I want to talk to you about how you began. You all have very strong philosophies and ideologies. Veeram, you, for example, have experiences with Girish Doshi. You come from a lineage practice which has been in the industry for the longest time, and you have transformed it into something extremely dynamic in you, right? So these are not easy shadows to come out of, and also to retain ideologies that you have imbibed in your younger days. So could you talk to us about this?
So I remember first year of college, and they do this orientation with the professors, and we were lucky to have like really good professors. Girish was teaching. There was Arora, who used to teach at JJ, very senior. He had just then retired and moved to Pune. And so we had this, and then after, I think, so basic design, that course, and I think
BD.
Yeah. I think we still do BD in the studio all the whole time. So Girish sir told me that, when he was leaving years ago, and he's also Gujarati. So he's like, there's not much to learn in the classroom, you come to my studio. And he used to live on FC Road, where my college was there. So I was like, "Theek." So every weekends, morning 8 o'clock you reach. Then you sit, you have breakfast with him. He'll give you a book, or he'll tell you to follow him to his site. Then you'd say that you don't say anything, you just follow me around. Then ask you simple questions like find a column. So for 1 hour you're trying to find a column, but there's no column, because he used the cavity wall construction, etc. And then I remember second year, I took a drop, etc. And then he told me that, whatever you do, you spend time in the library. That is the most important. And because he worked with B. Doshi, that was my introduction to modernism. And so then I started this research myself and seeing how Corbusier, the modernist, B. Doshi, and Girish sir, and the legacy of it, and what struck me then also, and what strikes me right now also, and Prasanna also, he's doing such good work, that when you work enough and you understand enough out of someone, you will have like this underlying hints of who they are, where they come from. But yet you are your own person, when you do your work. And I think the manifestation happened much later, because then I was in college for a while and practice took some time. But today also, I met him in Rajkot last to last. He conspires to get people to get to do lectures when he knows that these people might not come. So all he does is he'll call you, Veeram, you have to come to Rajkot, khatam. That's it. So I gave the lecture and everything, and in front of all that audience, he's asking me, I had like really long hair back then and this and that, and he's like, Veeram, I thought that you were like, you're a good looking person, etc., but I never thought you'd do anything in life. And then, so I told him that, sir, maybe, everything that you were saying or that we shared was manifesting the whole time, I think that was my start, and still like an ongoing process of understanding this.
And I think that when you talk about architectural school and the way he spoke to you, I feel like these are things that don't exist anymore. There's even when I studied, like my faculties would tell me things like that. They were like, "Teise kuch nahi hoga, tu kuch nahi kar payega," and we would not take it in a bad way.
I think it's just the way the system works.
And you would laugh, like you would be like, he said this to me, I would just be happy that, they're addressing me. For me, that was a big deal, that they noticed that I existed, because I feel like to also become an architect truly, in its true sensibilities, you have to work for decades and decades and decades, and even then you may not, even come close to achieving what the greats in our country have done.
Yeah.
So thank you for that lovely answer, Sanchit.
Well, I think it was a complete opposite story to to Veeram's story. Honestly, when I started, I think you have to see that there's a lineage going on, right? When you have a family sort of service-oriented business going on, you're born and brought up in a architect's house, right? You have the set square fumbling here, you have the T squares here, you have the drawing board there at the corner, and then you're this little kid running through the house. And I think I kind of define it in a very different manner where design cannot be taught. It can only be observed and absorbed. If that's something that I want to kind of clarify, because I think till date, I don't know where I was taught scales. Do you understand where were you taught scales? When you look at a book, right? I might or might not like reading the books. I'll be very honest. But that doesn't define me as an architect, because if I see a book, there are two sides to a book. There is a pictorial representation and there's a written theory to it, and I might like the pictorial representation. And when I was, coming through the ranks of being in probably, these architects' residence, I would just go to any of my dad's book, and he has a huge library of books, right? I would just go through the pictures, be it Cobb or be it Mies or be it anyone for that matter, and I would just look at it and then be like, wow, like it just indefinitely kind of absorb a scale mentality in you, right? And that just would come to me probably 20, 25 years later, which is crazy. It's just, embedded in you. And that is how the story revolved. Went to college. My father thankfully never forced me to be an architect. He told me, "Dekh le." It's not a easy field if you think of it as. But then I think the only thing he told me was that patience has its own virtue. You will have to give it time. You can't expect yourself to be a hero or or a sort of a male protagonist in the industry in the next 5-10 years. It's just that
कुछ नहीं होता.
कुछ ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं. And there is nothing that exists like this. We are also learning. I think Veeram is also learning. You are also learning while we're talking, and I'm also learning from the fact that we are talking together, right? We're sharing this concept, and this whole thought process is just gonna go on and on and on till we die. I think probably we are only learning, and that's where Corbusier says, right? Like, what I envy the most about my buildings is that it will outlive me, right? So that is the legacy we as architects have to leave, right? So that it outlives us.
Also, Veeram, you spoke about modernism, right? And post-independence, so just around that time, there was a lot of modernist movement that was spreading across Europe. It was already existent in America, and then it came into India. But practitioners in our country, say Charles Correa or B.V. Doshi or even Achyut Kanwande, postmodernism, modernism, they kind of transpired in a way where they retained Indian heritage and culture, right? And I see that a lot in your practice as well. I have a very interesting question to ask you, because our country now, I feel, is split into two journeys. There's one journey which is heading straight towards the concrete and steel and glass and has no relevance to Indian materiality, whereas practices like yours are also down the modernist path, but you retain earth, you retain what is ours. I don't feel like there's a right and wrong to this, because each practice has their own journey, but I want to talk to you about your journey in regards to this and why you do it.
Yeah. So, I think to answer this, you have to trace where these movements come from, right? And imagine the world wars. They brought out these needs, the needs for simple construction, the needs for so many things. And I mean, the tangibles, the intangibles, the metaphors,
Correct.
And like every movement has had a very strong background, because it comes out of a lot of thinking. Like, when you also talk of deconstruction, it comes out of a theory, And when you say modernism, it has so many facets that it's muddled at this point. When you go back to the start, there was a certain strong theory which was adapted, internalized, and then manipulated, or it became a language for so many people, may it be artists, may it be architects, may it be writers. And then, I mean, I don't know if you're lucky or not lucky that I think Nehru had gotten some American architects to do the planning first, and then
No, it was the Egyptian or something who.
no, but it was not Corbusier basically.
Yeah.
And then he sends a panel saying that, so you're old now, and you've written so much, you've done so much, but you've never gotten a chance to design a city, and we are offering you that. As arrogant as he was.
But the real story is that the person who was supposed to design Chandigarh died in a plane crash.
Yeah, something. Yeah, so
Died in a plane crash, and that's how he got the
Obviously got the contract.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that this has come to us in a, and fact that he took his theories to Hitler and to Mussolini also.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
Yeah.
To say whether it's wrong or right for him to be here, even when you stand in between the two buildings,
He just wanted to build basically. I don't think he bothered
and
about
I think,
the.
so when you actually read his biography, etc., like the selfish motive to create.
Yeah.
And I found that very strong, And when we started, because there was no work, so we do furniture, we do that, we do jewelry, and I think so. Adapting that my selfish motive is to create, whether it's modernism, because obviously I come through that legacy. So like when you look at his paintings and you look at a few forms that we create, there's a certain similarity because it's a study of that's come from that, So same, like, and that happened, and then obviously because Doshi worked with him, he was. So a lot of things came from that, and you have to understand that this is distilled knowledge, that everyone adds their own
character to
it. To what So Doshi was so sensitive that he added that he was grounded, Like when you look at Doshi's character, look at Corbusier's character, the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like there's humility here and there's absolute arrogance here,
Yeah.
So again, you look at Girish sir also, we used to have these events. That 65-year-old man is still sweeping the floor for everyone to sit, So that is a humility, His office was a part of his family. It's so funny, I told earlier also that it was manifested that our office or our studio is also a part of my house. And my parents also sort of intermingled with everyone that comes there, My mother keeps a diary where when people leave, she writes name, address, phone numbers of the children when they leave. So that, so it's a complete circle. Just one more thing, So Doshi wrote about Kumar Gandharv,
Okay.
So, because you're talking about interpreting a certain movement, Kumar Gandharv's voice was nothing that fit like the norms of Indian classical music. And yet it is so beautiful, it's almost as brutal as concrete. And it was so easy for him to sing a certain rag that you'd feel like he's just reciting it, And when I read all this, I realized, and it's a complete circle in terms of, say, music or literature, architecture, and it's how you interpret someone's work, or how do you say that I don't like this because I don't like it for a certain reason. That, I think that like the whole world might hate it, but it makes sense to me. I think to have that critical thinking, going beyond isms or beyond these things, I think in this point of time is, I think, essential.
I mean, that way, if you kind of see his kind of way of kind of approaching architecture or interiors, it's specific to the line of thought he has been taught.
Yeah.
I think what we want to kind of establish as a brand for Renesa in India, and of course, across the globe, was the fact that we would not want to be the masters of any specific design. We want the client's ideology to master it all for us to give something new to the industry, right? I think every new project is a new opportunity for us to try something new. And I think that is what is the exciting element for me as an architect when I wake up every day. I think if you see any of our projects, they're not going to be similar. They're not going to have the same materiality, same color, same anything or the other. It is the strong ideology that I would want to approach. I want to be selfish in a way that I want to approach every design philosophy that every architect would have tried in his life, so that I want to know even 10% of what they did want to try in that philosophy, right? Even if I know 10%, then that 10% can add up to the next 10% and so on, and create this amalgam, which might be my language by the end of it. So that is where we're trying to approach it. And that is what Renesa is all about. You know, the thought process of a family of thought remains the same. It's just that 5 to 10 to 15% variance that sprinkle changes, you know, that sort of philosophy for us.
No, very well put, you know, because like I think what you're saying makes so much sense. You know, the process is the same, but the outputs become so varied because, you know, when I think of my first project, I've done more architectural projects, but there are two that are actually core, you know.
Yeah.
So the first one took 9 years to finish, you know. And it was very simple, very feminine in terms of the plan, you know, like two curved lines, one static line, and very masculine in terms of the visuals, you know, because it had no elevation, it had these brutal concrete walls. And, you know, and this is fluid, you know, so I was telling earlier, when we did we finished an Navsari project, so the forms are like, you know, when you look at the visuals, it's very soft, it's very feminine in terms of the color, the tonality. It's basically colors derived out of an Indian stone, which is more on like terracotta pinks, etc. You know. So then, when I think of myself, I feel like that sort of, you know, you have the same core, and the interpretation with every project can be so different. You know.
Also, you have to see that if he is able to kind of create something at that age, at a young age, what he was creating, it kind of forces us to believe in the fact that we, as like I'm younger to him, probably that feeling of if a young guy, a sort of a talented guy like him could have done it, why can't we also try to give India a new sort of thought process in that sort of process? So, you know, the thing is that your actions have such repercussions that you also don't know. So his actions might have repercussions on me in the right way, not saying that in the wrong way, but then, and it's vice versa.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
And I think in built, those repercussions are huge because unlike say a book or a theory, built is what you actually see, you know, and it influences you so greatly. Like I had the chance to visit Mises Pavilion last year, and I've always wanted to go
It's an
there.
unreal space.
And I have always studied it in architecture. And, you know, I feel like when I listen to you guys speak, I'm going to go on a tangent, but, you know, because of the mentors that I had in my college as well, like we had Akhtar Chauhan, who was my faculty at that point, and he's grown up with all of the greats, right? So I, because of him, had the privilege or the audacity of saying things like, you know, I'm not a big fan of Charles Correa's work. You know, I don't like his grid planning. If you ask me that now in today's day, I would be like, the younger me was stupid. But the thing is, having that, the freedom and the ideologies to say whatever you wanted to with the person like that who has grown up with them and worked with them, to say that okay, you know, that's your opinion and good for you. So, and also when I look at your practices, right, for example, when you talk about, like you spoke about how each of your project is unique. You know it and you are doing it consciously. I feel like Veeram's practice is more style based. He follows a certain direction because that is the way he works. And it's very interesting because, see, a lot of practices people have spoken to, they do a variation of projects till they find a style. But with Renesa, it is the opposite. You are intentionally doing a variation of projects because you don't want to stick to a certain direction.
Correct.
And on the other hand, you have Veeram, who has explored various kinds of practices and now has found his direction in a certain sensibility. So I find that very, very interesting. I want to know about how you kind of put a hold on what you really want to do and how you say no, basis these ideologies that you have.
So I think, you know, because so we do projects ranging from, say, we used to do jewelry also, not anymore, but say from furniture, interior, and architecture. You know. And I think these are three very different subsets of what we do. You know, I think the constant is the core of, say, you know, details. You know, if I have to detail a certain chair, I will also have the same detailing done for an architectural project. You know. So it is what is your core, you know, what kind of practice are you running, and that sort of crosses everything you do. I think that is where where you find your truth, you know, that even when you do architecture, every knob, every handle, every door, everything is detailed as I would detail a piece of furniture. So that is, and you know, I always tell people that, you know, it will be a crime if I use my own furniture for my projects, you know, because if I have control over architecture, then I probably don't need a console to enhance that space. You know? but it's a very clear definition of doing furniture where, say, an architect requires that because that practice is such. But again, selfish motive that I get to design that console because it will help the project, why not? So it's almost that console is like a little piece of a building for me, you know.
It is architecture.
Yeah, it is architecture. And because we come from architecture, and I think the best part is because now there's so many industrial design schools, and you know, I give lectures or we have interns, there's no process there. And because we have already unlearned the fact that we don't come from that field, it gives us so much opportunity to actually put what we have learned in different scales in furniture, which was not, I think, done before. You know.
I think, I mean, if you ask me as an architect, you know, like of course we're architects, then turned into interior designers, not interior designers turned into architects,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's a big difference,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to shy away from that statement, is because while he was talking about the macro to the micro, micro to the macro, and this indulgence of scales coming together, right? Out here, when probably we are kind of curating things, right? You know, you have to see a Veeram or a Sanchit or a Karan is not, you know, we're not, you know, going back, you know, we are only growing old now, right?
Yeah.
With any experience, you know, there's this saying, right? With every experience that you have in your life, you know, the maturity somewhere or the other comes in the way you kind of start designing, right? Your lines are also, which were flickering someday when you started to, you remember when we used to do the newspaper lines just to have the straight lines while sketching, right? You know, my father still sketches everything. He knows each and every dimension of the past 30 years of his project, till date. He doesn't know how to use AutoCAD, but then he can take my case any goddamn day for any inch of perfection. I think that is something that we as architects lack now. I think we've moved forward, we've gotten that maturity, we're also on that path of maturity, but then what is the end product? What are we kind of heading to? You know, when he talks about how he starts from furniture to architecture and architecture getting involved in his furniture, for us, I think it's just that I can only speak in a way that I am also changing rapidly every year. I'm not the same Sanchit or the Renesa it was. My language is changing. My team that I have, you know, has some great talent with me. And I think what they are learning, it's also now them teaching me. And that amalgam is trying to change the language, the ever-growing language of Renesa. I think that's exactly what happens at your firm as well. And I think to be more democratic in your office is the way forward. I think we were not informed or told about that.
Yeah, very,
I think
very
we were always told that there's an autonomy of power that kind of dictates that this is the way. No, we're not. This is not the future for India. I think the future is we come together as a process-based learning studio. That's why it's called a studio, not an office, right? And a studio comes together and pulls in an idea from an intern. A voice of an intern is also heard to a voice of a senior architect or a voice for me. I think everyone should have their ideology, pull together thoughts, and that is where probably the rebirth, the Renaissance. That's why the name Renaissance.
Guys, now we're going to play a game. It's going to be embarrassing for you all. I'm very happy. I never thought I'd see both of you all with a squeaky duck in your hand, but it gives me great joy. Well done, guys. The game is called Material Match. Okay, I'm going to take a material and take a name of a material, and you have to tell me like where you would use it, but in a very unorthodox way. Like not a typical, like if I say tile, you would not have to say flooring, basically. You would say something strange. If you feel like you know the answer, you press the squeak. And the person who gives the right answer or gives a good answer, the other one has to have a shot. And at the end of it, whoever gives the better answers gets a lovely hamper from our brand partner, Obeetee. Okay, should we begin?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is a cement tile.
Ceiling?
It's obvious.
That's an obvious one. Yeah.
Oh, cement tile. मुझे लगा flooring वाली है.
So you can
use it, yeah.
you
तू
can,
बता.
I would use it on a wardrobe fascia.
Door.
On a?
On a wardrobe fascia. I'll make a nice pattern out of it.
हर चीज में
But
Chalo, then you have a shot. You have half a shot. Bamboo mat.
I would say a sort of a sports court.
Sports coat.
Yeah,
What sport?
like a flooring for the court.
It'd be interesting to have a game playing on a bamboo mat.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I said, right?
You win.
Imagine playing tennis on a bamboo.
Oh,
Yeah, it'd be
that's
very
a
good.
bad
It's an added dimension to the ball moving here and there.
That's a nice one. Exposed brick.
पूजा तेरा है.
I would use an exposed brick everywhere if I could,
Press a squeaky. I know you don't want to do it.
But unconventional, I think there's nothing unconventional about a exposed brick. No? I can make a whole house out of an exposed brick.
Pot.
A pot.
Yeah, out of.
Like a WC.
Yeah,
But wouldn't it be porous?
I don't care.
Good answer
Okay.
then.
Yeah, beat it, Saleh.
Moroccan tile.
Would never use it.
Yeah, I swear.
Yeah. I don't think anyone uses it anymore.
Yeah, we would like to not answer this question.
Okay, pass.
Dustbin.
Dustbin.
good
Nice,
one. Yeah.
nice, nice dustbin.
Dustbin.
Yeah, they should be banned now. The Moroccan
Yeah.
tiles need to be banned, especially the printed ones.
Dustbin.
Those printed Moroccan tiles are so bad.
Dustbin.
और जब भी आप शोरूम में जाते हो ना वो Moroccan tiles ही दिखाते हैं. So देखो हमारा Moroccan
But
tile
can that
collection.
be used for all those, those welfare association dustbins?
100%. Or anything that we can cover it with.
Yeah. Waterproofing tiles.
It's not
Below
sustainable also ना. It's like
Yeah.
थोड़ा sustainable होता तो फायदा भी होता उसका.
Yeah.
But glass.
I'll make a bed out of glass.
Wow.
Huh?
Be cool. I'll make a bed out of glass.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a very nice answer.
Right, that should
That would be a great bed. Yeah.
थोड़ा डिटेलिंग सोचना पड़ेगा but yeah, can be.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Bed.
Mosaic.
But like China mosaic.
Yeah.
मैं सब जगह use कर लिया मैंने.
Pot.
No, that'll be a nice spot.
Be a painful one also.
Yeah.
What else?
I don't.
मैं तो पूरा को.
हाँ.
A door. Maybe. A door.
Yeah, door.
A door would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, door would be nice.
Press a squeaky and say door.
Door.
After the serious conversations, this game just feels so out of place.
I know.
Man. Rattan.
Yeah.
Too much use.
Garbage.
Too much rattan. Can you use rattan for like a pool or something?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It's like the most absurd idea.
For swimming pool.
For swimming pool? Absurd.
And sustain a lot of water. Volume.
The pool would not have water. If you use rattan as the.
It'll be a paradox.
Yeah,
It'll be
like
a sculpture.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably a carpet.
Oh, carpet is nice, interesting.
But there are rattan carpet. They're
Carpet.
beautiful.
I like
rattan
pool. I
carpet.
like pool. Pool is a nice answer. It's like a paradox.
What's wrong with you guys?
Like the
कहाँ
glass.
से आएगा पानी उसमें?
वही ना.
है
glasses.
पानी नहीं है पर है pool. Shaped like a pool. But doesn't have-
Abstract concept, yeah.
क्या बातें कर रहे हैं?
Abstract concept है. Mirror.
Bed.
I was going to say, but I said that before. Do a lot of people use like mirrors on the ceiling and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Common thing now.
Okay.
I think floor.
Floor would be cool.
Floor
but
would
then
be
you'd have
cool.
to be careful of what you wear.
I think everywhere. I think that infinite feel. Why is everyone laughing?
A glass pool.
She's like
mirror pool.
She's like pen. थोड़ा
Three answers.
ध्यान से कपड़े पहनने पड़ेंगे.
Oh.
Your duck is.
Yeah, bro.
Duck doesn't like it. Okay, last. Okay, what's the score, guys? Who's winning? 5-3. He's winning.
I won.
You have one.
Chalo, the last. You'll do it for the sake of doing it. And you'll have to have your shots. Take some shots so I can get some shots out of it.
तो थोड़ा There's one.
भाई मैं जीत रहा हूँ.
हाँ तो इसे दिखना चाहिए ना ऐसा खाली.
He's going sustainable at the coffee shots also.
Yeah, bro.
Terrazzo.
Overdone.
You know why I've given you these materials, right? Exactly for these responses.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Terrazzo ceiling पे करना चाहिए. No one's done that.
Yeah. I agree.
And it'll be very difficult, but it'll be very cool to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Terrazzo ceiling would be cool.
It'll be
Actually.
very cool.
Probably I think facade पे तो हुआ हुआ है ना?
Yeah, facade is done.
काफी
Ceiling would be very interesting to figure out also.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not
Like even like a fluid mold of an entire space in a terrace would be quite cool actually.
cast on site.
probably shoes also.
Shoes design करने का वो भी कर सकते हैं.
Chalo, anyway, thank you for this amazing game. You have clearly won.
So, the last 4 or 5 years, when we started, if you're an architect, you had to be an architect. That was our mindset, that we have to figure out something. We struggle, whatever, but we have to be an architect. In the last 5 years, there have been so many young people who have also realized that, this is something we did much like 10 years back, that we thought, why not apply these principles to, say, smaller scales. And I think when you also talk about, people not knowing enough, there is awareness with this another generation that you don't have to stick to one thing, And it's so nice because, like, imagine that now I do architecture, whatever, all of that. But I can support practices who are struggling in terms of, say, getting money out of interior projects which take so much time, architecture takes so much time, that they're skilled. They're skilled with hands, they have a certain knowledge, they know art. So we can support them.
The idea of knowing your own value.
Yeah.
So it's a good circle, and that's why in terms of practices, there was this ego, the architect's ego, which I thought which was like a thing, it was a normal thing, which has been broken, like you said, that humility of, say, collaborating, of supporting a certain circle, will share ideas like this, and it can spark so much ahead, no?
I mean, yesterday we were having a conversation and I told him this, like, can I have that list of the people you're working with?
And some young...
Gladly gave the list in 5 minutes. And I think that's not something that, I'm not taking names or, saying that it was a good thing or a bad thing. It's just that in the past, these practices never existed.
With the Chattais also, we're supporting this little cluster of women who weave these very finely woven mats, So I figured how to do it with contemporary patterns, etc. We try to use it in a few different ways. Now, I know for a fact that when Sanchit uses it in his projects, his projects are so different. And with the Chattai, what happens is that vertically you can weave as much as you want. No, the only limit is the width. Imagine the long bars that he makes, and there's something fluid, something so beautiful that comes out of his mind. And we're still supporting the craft cluster and the designer involved as different practices.
Yeah, I think what he's gone is he's gone into the deep-rooted issues that we have been sort of talking about for the longest time in India, where supporting the sort of the local craftsmen. He's gone, made it cool, if that's the term that people want to listen to. I think the idea of making it cool and making it normalizing the fact that
and also making it available.
Making it available and knowing the value, the true art value for it, right? If the same thing was being sold by, let's say, a big brand, what if these guys were run by LVMH? These costs would, escalate like crazy, like this whole chappal thing that happened, right? Whatever. So that's the same thing, bro. Like, that is what we are going through. And I think if he's able to support it, I think kudos to him, honestly. We might or might not able to kind of do what he's doing. So I think I have huge respect for what he's done for that corridor of work.
Yeah, and it could be like, say, he uses it and then maybe you suggest, I'm doing this.
It just takes one visit. Like we have visited, like we are in Mirzapur, right? Right. It's probably my first time to Mirzapur, and I think I'm looking at it in a different sort of lens, right? But then I can tell people, that identity, once you get used to the identity, then you can easily, talk about it with conviction.
In fact, like when I had come here a month and a half back, they had taken me to the factory and then they took me to the women's weavers. So they basically have 25,000 weavers around who their entire livelihood is basis this company.
Industry.
So when I went there, the women were talking. They made me sit on that chappu and all of that. I took some pictures and all, but they talked to me about how they do it, how much time it takes them, what a knot is per inch, how they get the colors right, how they fade it, and they're not educated. But the way they spoke about their craft. Now every time I go for a rug selection, wherever it is, right?
You're looking at that.
I'm looking at that more than the rug because I'm like, man, this must have taken. I know what it will cost.
Value of it.
Yeah, suddenly the value of that product because of those human beings
Yeah.
Yeah.
who are making it has just escalated. And I avoid buying tufted now,
Yeah.
because I understood the beauty of the knot.
Yeah.
So it's very beautiful how you all have brought this up.
Yeah.
Also, you both are very highly established practices now. You have a vast portfolio of work. You all are doing multiple facets of design. Everything that you can put your hands on.
Yeah.
But how did you guys get here? I want to talk about the beginnings of it all because again we have a very young audience. I ask this to a lot of designers. There's a difference between idolizing and hope and knowing that at some point in their lives they will be able to achieve the same or more, or it's not impossible.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about your journey, your struggles, the difficulties, the nuances of it, and what brought you to today, and the struggles you still have.
Yeah.
Because practice never gets easy.
I think you have to understand that I got inducted into a firm that was already, being run by my father. You have to understand when a old school meets a new thought process ideology, there are currents already existing, right? And to add up to that, there's a father-son relationship that you might or might not take back home, right? That continues because we as Indians are only thinking about work, even when we go back home while we are on the dinner table. Frankly speaking, it's a good thing or a bad thing. It only time decides that because, you just imagine your son coming into the picture and telling you that, Dad, you were designing okay, but then let me just design it, right? So, unka thought process hota hai, baap hota hai, right? Like at the end of the day, right? So, I think it has taken me time. I think it has taken me 10, 15 years to kind of make him understand, make him trust the process that what I was doing was right, right? He's also seen it in the path that, what worse can he do or what best he can do, right? The best is yet to be achieved for him, always he says. But I think the whole process of sort of learning from your own father as a mentor is the most beautiful thing. And certainly to that, I think it eventually, what I can say is that it eventually takes time. Everything good takes time. It's not a gimmicky saying, or it's not a very, a sort of a thing that hasn't been proved in the past. I think everything good takes time. You have to allow the time. You're not a polished architect day one. I think we are still not polished. We are getting polished every day. It's just that the acceptance, the quicker it comes to you, and the maturity depends on that acceptance as an architect. And I think that's what we at Renesa define now. I think it all might start that, I started this firm and then, but it's very difficult to kind of remove the baggage, not in the wrong way, but the way people used to work in dad's office versus what the working culture is now, in the sense that there were more draftsmen than architects or interior designers, or let's say, multifaceted people coming in. So that is a big change that has come in. The way they use the softwares now, how do you kind of decrease the time taken for a process of design, because I might not know the process of these 3D rendering softwares that are coming every day. I think every time I'm hiring some new talent, they're coming up with a new software and I'm looking at them like, what is wrong with you? ये मतलब 2 दिन में जो काम होता था, it's happening in half an hour now, right? All these AI softwares and all, great. But then to prove it to your father that you're going in the right way, all this while, that is the challenge. People think it's very easy to run an already established firm. I think they should try it on their own. I think the relationship with your father, the relationship as an architect's son, they're two different tangents.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think God, D&D comes out of a lot of struggle, I think, because I told you 7 years in college, and then I decided second year I visited Oroville, and then I visited again, and it was very clear that I finish college and I go to Oroville, live my hippie life, and that was the path, that was the life that I wanted to live, which I've achieved after so many years actually. So I come to Ahmedabad to meet my parents, and then I realize there's certain financial issues, and I can't just leave everything like that. And then because I took time to finish college, all my actual batchmates were working, etc. So we would meet different designers. So we used to meet every evening after their offices in front of, there's a thing called VS Hospital. So used to meet and probably talk and have tea and everything. And so in front of that, you have all these medicine shops. Dawani Dukaan, Dawani Dukaan, Dawani Dukaan. And then
Navsari only, right?
No, I'm the one. So then I'm telling all these designers, I was like, यार हम ना design की दुकान बनाते हैं. I was like, why not? And there was like different fields, someone was a product designer, someone was accessory, and कुछ life में कुछ no one was doing anything.
So cool.
And everyone was struggling with their low salaries. So what salaries they must be getting. Everyone's frustrated. Everyone doesn't know what to do with life. And I was like, यार दवा नहीं दुकान, design नहीं दुकान. That's how it came up. I say you're sitting on the floor on the footpath, and I was like, design नहीं दुकान. So we designed the logo and everything. And now, how do we get to work? So I mean, it was a big struggle, and then a lot of people just left. It was something very like that, But
the name.
And so then basically, I was working through college. I was working in Pune also, and I designed one bungalow which has never been documented in Ahmedabad.
Nice.
So I'd come to Ahmedabad. I said, okay, let me finish this and let me see what happens after that. I'd gotten FTI forms also. Okay, I'll just change. I don't want to do architecture anymore. But that happened. I met these people and said, "Ye karte, wo karte." And then for some reason, so these are all my juniors in college. There's someone's sort of come out of college with me. One is still doing his thesis. So we used to meet in Navsari then also. And then I did not want to get into that whole mercy projects of your uncle telling you, "Okay, ye beta ye ek room kar." I was like, no, that is not what I'm doing. So he came to Navsari, and so my father used to restore antiques because Navsari was like dying Parsi bungalows. He would pick up furniture from the Shaniwaris. So I told Ritesh, my friend that time, he was my junior. And so I was like, just put all the furniture out. Let's just start documenting it and see the joinery, see the proportions, etc. And the first two chairs were interpretations, like contemporary interpretations of these old colonial furniture. And then for some reason, I started like a Facebook page or whatever. And best is I used to use a Nokia Asha then. So I took my carpenter's, I took my carpenter's internet, and on my iPad I put that page. Okay, so all we would do is sit with my carpenter in my Navsari home backyard, and we would grind things, we would cut things. We were trying to understand the material, And then that's how furniture happened. We were like, we'll utilize this time to just meditate over this thing. We restored my father's scooter, random things. And so then a few architects called me and they were like, why don't you design furniture for us? I was like, I don't know how to do it. And then they forced me to meet them, and I was like, okay. So then I was like, you give me a brief and you explain the project. I'll design the furniture to this thing, So then we are sitting with all these books we got from NID, seeing proportions, etc. And so we started like this, So these were custom made pieces just for the project. And this is like 6 months. We did not know how to manage a workshop. Kuch nahi, we just said, kar lete, it's fine. I remember it was a big struggle because even figuring out how to buy things, like I don't know if they still teach in college how to calculate a cubic feet of wood.
No.
Yeah.
The first thing
No, they don't.
I asked an intern, do you know how to calculate a cubic feet of wood? So anyways, we learned.
Yeah.
So the furniture came in, then randomly that whole the project that went on for 9 years, that sort of happened. And then we realized that now, and we thought we'll be star architects because it'll be 3 years, 4 years, and you're 25, 20. I was like, by 30, though, you'll do a 23,000 square feet home. And that took longer, So then when that stopped, I said, okay, now what to do? So let's focus on furniture more, we have to run the office. Yeah. So it's been a very fluid.
I think time humbles you so much.
Every time there's struggle, I remember, Viraj was my junior in college, and we both connect on music. I was in Pune for so long. There's a lot of Marathi music, classical music that we listen to. So he was like the Diwani, the accountant. So he would have covers where he would 10 rupees rickshaw, 5 rupees tea, everything, and then we don't cover khali ho raha. I was like, it's fine, we'll figure something out. So this was a long, but once we signed that architecture project, a little money started coming in, and we realized for the first payment I got, we bought a laptop for one of my juniors. I was like, 2 year acha laptop le do. I was like, no, let's get nice clothes also, we can't look like this anymore. And we got
What age were you at this
This is
point?
26, like
26.
25, 26. And I was like, now we have to be very professional. We've signed such a big project. And that's when we set up that little office in Ahmedabad, the first studio, It's not like we had so much money. At the age of 30, I remember I had like 10,000 rupees in my account. And my father was telling me, why are you building concrete walls when you don't have the money? But I was like, I'm not renting it out. No, it's my space. Like when the client sits in front of that wall and I feel good that I've made something for myself, even if it's so small. So that happened, and then organically things happened,
Anyway, guys, thank you for those incredible answers. Before we call it a wrap, we'll do a rapid fire. Okay, so now we're going to have a rapid fire, guys. So Sanchit, since you won the last game, I'll start with you.
Thanks.
Okay. A building you wish you could listen to instead of just see.
Nice, the Barcelona Pavilion.
Would you rather design for stillness or for movement?
Stillness.
Which material feels more like a memory than an object?
I don't want to give an answer which is like very basic, but then I would say terrazzo.
Terrazzo.
Yeah.
If you could freeze one moment of daylight in a space, which would it be?
4 p.m. golden hour.
Lovely. Which is harder to master, scale or detail?
Scale.
100%. I hate the triangular scale. If your portfolio had margins, what would you scribble in them?
I have this problem of just making L's. So I keep making L's.
Why
I
do
don't
the
know.
triangles?
I don't know why. I just have this. If you see all my notebooks, they'll all be like L with this angle, like a 90-degree, like scribbled. I don't know why.
Okay, thank you for those wonderful answers.
That's it?
Yeah,
I won again?
Veeram, it's your turn. Would you rather design a room where people dream vividly or a room where they sleep deeply?
Dream. I can't sleep, so.
Yeah. If you had to design something using only shadows, where would you begin?
Design something using only shadows. I think I'll begin at the courtyard of the house.
Yeah.
Because that's.
If one of your projects could become a myth, how would the story go?
Do I have to say the whole story?
Just a one-liner.
Say the Corbusier line.
Enclosure, no. Enclosure, because that was the name we gave to that project, which went on for 9 years.
Lovely. Oh, yeah,
It was just an enclosure because
and your
there's
story
nothing else.
And your story is already there.
Yeah.
So you can go back
Yeah.
to that. Okay. What's more powerful, a door that invites or a door that refuses?
A door that refuses.
Kyun?
Because it has more strength, Like every door invites, right?
Yeah.
But imagine having just a door that refuses.
This is like that Sanghakara's door he was talking about.
Yeah.
Itna chota darwaza
Yeah.
hai.
So even with enclosure, so all those concrete walls, they
Interesting.
merge into a very small, narrow
He's
this
basically
thing.
trying to
Win.
this.
Win.
Yeah, so he's like
Win.
questioning everything you're saying.
Win.
What's one line you've drawn that changed the way you think?
I think drawing a line and leaving the ego behind.
Whoa.
A building you wish you could listen to instead of just see.
This is so Eileen Gray's house because it had all the parties that had.
We were just discussing it yesterday. Only.
Like imagine you're a wall in that house and looking at Corbusier partying with Badovici and
And you can, check out Corbusier swimming as well. So
imagine like just those people in that house.
Yeah, and the conversations,
Yeah.
the judgments.
And because so many people have written so much about it, but there was a very old lady explaining, and she was like, none of it. They made films, they've written books because it was very controversial.
Yeah.
But to understand it through someone who's that old and who knows the history of that place would be so nice. It was
The real time history.
it was.
It's like that movie, na? Midnight in Paris. It's a very cute movie actually. It could have, I mean, it's a nice, like there should be more like that. It was a good start to it.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson, he
Yeah.
goes back in
Goes
time.
back in time.
And
Oh,
he
yes.
meets Oscar Wilde. And
So,
He meets
all
Dali.
the-
Dali.
What a time it would be, brilliant.
it would be a...
That's what you're talking. We should get that back,
Yeah.
Like these conversations, even have like what we do in my nursery home, like so every person who is working on a project has to come present and sell it to the client.
Yeah.
So and then obviously we have conversations over that as to where does it come from.
Anyway, guys, thank you for those absolutely stunning answers. It was a beautiful, enriching conversation. Before we call it a wrap, I'd like for you to address our audiences and maybe share some advice or something you're working on or the future, anything you would like to, and then we can.
Now you start. If you're free being able to address the audience.
Well, I think probably architecture is a long race. Like it's it's a very cliched statement. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think start with 5 kilometers, then 10 kilometers, then half marathon, then a full marathon, then probably the Ironman. So I think we're also going through that process. So I think everyone has their own way of doing it. It's just that time is the only answer. I think architecture is really, really relative to time. So I think if you give it time, I think the magic happens there.
Beautiful. Thank you so
I
much.
think very similar what I was going to say, that in general, architecture, design, a process, there is, the creative field, if you build a process, there is no limit to what you can or want to do at a point. It is always okay at any stage to say that maybe I don't do this, I do this. But same thing, like you said, a marathon, I think an alap. So, you consider same thing, I said this in the other lecture also.
Yeah.
That, imagine, one rag has the same set of permutations and combinations over the last, 300 years or so. And so many artists have made that rag their own because they decided to sing it in a certain way.
Yeah.
And how does that happen? That I go beyond how someone sung it, because the riyaz and the alap over those notes is so much that it gets you to in that state where you hold it.
Yeah.
Where you hold it. It
Time
becomes-
creates
Yeah,
identity.
absolutely.
Identity creates time.
So I think that
क्या
alap.
quote पे quote आप दे रहे हो दोनों?
But
यार,
that,
वो तो-
no, this is very important. There is nothing comes easy, like you said. And if you can get into that alap, I think whatever you want to do in life, whether you quit it, any process will give you a good result.
Yeah.
And it's also same patience. It will make
Patience.
you a better person also.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's my takeaway from architecture till date.
Patience.
People who had patience but were consistent
Well put.
are at a different stage than people who were inconsistent and had no patience. Simple.
It's as simple.
If there is a line that I can draw, that is the line. Simple.
Thank you so much for those lovely answers. I'll quickly sign off and then we'll call it a
Perfect.
wrap. Thank you for watching episode 3 of the Mirzapur Manifesto, powered by our brand partners Obeetee.